Welcome to Healthy Grandpa Secrets and Him, where growing older means growing stronger. Let's make these years your healthiest yet.
When Grandpa George turned 68, he sat in his doctor's office, staring at the blood pressure monitor. The numbers blinked back at him, 165/95. The doctor frowned and shook his head. "George, this is dangerous. You need medication." George wasn't surprised. For months, he'd been feeling the pounding headaches, the dizziness when standing, the heaviness in his chest. But what he didn't expect were the side effects that came when he actually started taking those pills. Fatigue, constant bathroom trips, even muscle cramps. He felt like he had traded one problem for another. His daughter, worried for him, pleaded, "Dad, just stick with the pills, it's better than having a stroke." But George had always been stubborn, and deep down he believed his body was capable of healing if he gave it the right tools. That was the beginning of his journey, a journey that would shock even his doctor a year later, when George returned with normal blood pressure readings, all without medication. Today, I'll share his story, and most importantly, the lessons he learned that could help anyone over 60 take control of their heart health naturally. At first, George didn't know where to start. He grew up in a time when people ate whatever they grew in the backyard, but over the years his diet had shifted. Breakfast became white bread with butter, lunch was often processed meat sandwiches, and dinners were heavy with salt. He didn't see the harm. After all, he had been eating this way for decades. But when he started reading about how sodium raises blood pressure, it clicked. He thought about his father, who also struggled with hypertension, and realized maybe this was his chance to break the cycle. The very first change George made was simple. He cut back on salt. Instead of sprinkling it on everything, he started using herbs like rosemary, garlic, and basil to flavor his meals. At first, food tasted bland, but after 2 weeks his taste buds adjusted. And something else happened. He started feeling lighter, less bloated. But George didn't stop there. He stumbled across an article about the DASH diet, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. Curious, he gave it a try. Out went the processed snacks and sugary drinks. In came bowls of fresh vegetables, apples, bananas, and berries. Instead of red meat 5 times a week, he swapped in fish and legumes. At first, it felt strange. His friends teased him. "George, are you turning into a rabbit?" But then his energy started coming back. His headaches became less frequent. And slowly, those blood pressure numbers began to drop. Now, let's pause George's story for a moment, because here's why this mattered. Science shows that potassium, found in foods like bananas, spinach, and sweet potatoes, helps balance the effects of sodium in the body. Fiber, found in vegetables and whole grains, improves artery health. Omega-3 fatty acids in fish reduce inflammation. All of this lowers strain on the heart. George wasn't just eating better. He was literally rewiring his blood vessels to relax and open up again. Of course, diet wasn't the only piece. George knew he had to move his body. But at his age, hitting the gym wasn't realistic. Instead, he began walking. Every morning after breakfast, he tied his old sneakers and went to the park. At first, it was just 10 minutes. He got tired quickly and sometimes stopped on the bench. But he kept showing up. By the 3rd week, he was walking 30 minutes without stopping. Walking, he later learned, is one of the most powerful ways to lower blood pressure naturally because it strengthens the heart muscle and improves circulation. And the best part? It doesn't cost a dime. George also discovered the power of relaxation. Stress had been a silent villain in his life. Between bills, family worries, and the news on television, he was always on edge. He didn't realize that stress hormones like cortisol were pushing his blood pressure higher and higher. So he tried something new. Each evening, he sat in his living room chair, closed his eyes, and practiced slow breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. At first he felt silly, but soon he noticed his shoulders relaxing, his heartbeat calming, and his sleep improving. Research now confirms what George experienced. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering blood pressure almost instantly. Another secret George adopted was drinking hibiscus tea. A friend at church told him, "Try this, it's an old remedy." Skeptical, he gave it a shot. Within weeks, he developed a habit of sipping a warm cup every evening instead of soda or coffee. Little did he know, hibiscus is proven to have compounds that act like natural ACE inhibitors, the same way some blood pressure medications work. George didn't need to know the chemistry. He just knew he felt calmer, his blood pressure was steadier, and he enjoyed the ritual. But perhaps the most surprising part of George's journey was what happened at his doctor's office a year later. He walked in, sat down, and rolled up his sleeve. The cuff tightened around his arm. The machine beeped. The doctor stared. 128 over 78? George, what did you do? George just smiled. He explained his changes. Less salt, more fruits and veggies, daily walks, breathing exercises, herbal tea. The doctor shook his head and said, "Most patients won't do this, but you proved it's possible." Now, here's what you can take from George's story. Number 1, food is medicine. By lowering salt and eating whole foods rich in potassium, fiber, and omega-3s, you can directly lower your blood pressure. Number 2, move your body. Even a simple daily walk has life-changing benefits. Number 3, calm your mind. Stress management is not a luxury. It's essential for heart health. And number 4, explore natural helpers like hibiscus tea, which can complement your lifestyle changes. George's journey shows us that it's never too late. At 68, he felt like his life was spiraling out of control, chained to medication and fear. But by taking small, consistent steps, he rewrote his story. And if George can do it, so can you. So the next time you check your blood pressure and feel discouraged, remember George. Remember that your body has an incredible ability to heal when you give it the right conditions. Medication may be necessary for some, but lifestyle is always the foundation. And sometimes the smallest daily habits, a walk in the park, a cup of tea, a deep breath, can make the biggest difference.